is an alliance of 6 First Nations, and they were instrumental in the creation of the Save the Fraser Declaration. So today we're gathered to celebrate the anniversary of that declaration. As First Nation leaders and municipal leaders come together publicly to state their opposition to the Enbridge Gateway Pipeline and the tankers that would threaten our land if that project went ahead. Our water and our food sources are really the crux of what our communities have spoken about. Today you're going to witness a ceremony in which more First Nations are going to, and supporters will sign the declaration which is there, and I understand that they'll actually be signing that declaration as it stands there. So this is simply adding to what many people consider to be a formidable united stand against the tar sands pipelines and the tankers that have come with the project. As you know, together with the Coastal First Nations Declaration, the declaration that we're here to witness today bans the transportation of tar sands oil anywhere in the Fraser watershed using Indigenous land. This is an important and a solemn event and a ceremony which will include the giving and the receiving of gifts. And each one of you who's in here today will be involved as witnesses. And I just want to emphasize that because in our coastal culture, the culture of the Yinka Dene as well, when you witness an event like this, you become part of the issue, whether you like it or not. So this coalition just keeps growing. I often think the canoe just keeps getting bigger as people come aboard. And as well, I think one of the very important parts of this is that the City of Vancouver will also proclaim this day, the 13th, as Save the Fraser Day. So again, for the first time, BC municipalities are standing on the same stage with nations from the north, central, and the south coast and the interior to face these threats in a unified front against Enbridge and other tar sands exports developed in BC. So we're going to hear statements from our leaders and a reading of the proclamation by the City of Vancouver, and then a signing ceremony, all of which you're welcome to record and take pictures of. After that, we'll do a short question and answer period. So at this point, I'm going to call Chief Reuben George and Gabe George of the Tsleil-Waututh First Nation to welcome us to the territory. Please.
OCM, just very proud and humbled to be here today. My name is Setsuono, Gabriel George, the Tsleil-Waututh Nation. I'm part of a team that we work towards trying to stop the expansion of oil tankers and the pipelines in our territories. I have ancestry to the Squamish Nation and the Musqueam Nation as well. My grandpa said his first cousins were in Musqueam and my grandmother came from Squamish. So our people shared the land here and coexisted for many years. So I'm proud today to welcome each and every one of you here to the traditional territories of the Tsleil-Waututh, Musqueam, and Squamish peoples. Our ancestors walked this land. We're not far from a well-known deer hunting trail that's been paved in recent years. Our people have thrived and depended on this land for years to come. And now we're realizing that we can't allow the damage that's happening to become greater. Today is a small step towards repatriating some of the health in our inlet. We want to sing our clan song, the wolf song, to welcome you here.
Thank you all my relatives for coming today at this very important moment of bringing solidarity between our nations, between our people. I think it's time at this juncture of time that we need to come together and send a message out to our Canadian people who are numbed by the changes that some of our government make that continue to cause destruction to our lands and to our waters. As sacred as the song that we just sang, our lands are just as sacred. The spiritual connection that we have with one another is the same spiritual connection that we have with our lands. The people we love, the songs that we sing, the things that we hold, and that's too much to risk. Too much to risk to stand together as 130 nations, which my good friend Jackie has said, Chief Jackie, she said, we created an unbreakable wall that no pipeline will pass through. So in gratitude and thanks for all the work that my relatives have done to set this initiative, to urge us on as family, as one heart and one mind, to stop this, to educate our BC and Canadian community members that we can't have this happen. That it's something that isn't just an environmentalist problem, or First Nation problem. It's a problem of Canada, a problem of British Columbia, of our municipalities. It's all of our problem. We're not trying to change in anybody's livelihood. What we're wanting to do is improve them, and be good examples of a better way of being, of green energy. So thank you very much, my relatives, for coming and standing up for not just for our sacredness of our connection to our lands, but for all of us.
Thank you to the slave crew for that wonderful introduction. With respect, I'd like to start by first saying that we're a little bit behind schedule, and I'm going to blame the mayor. None of the chiefs are all here absolutely on time. So at this point, I'm going to ask that we attempt to keep this on time. I understand that the media might have some timelines of their own, so I'm going to call Chief Jackie Thomas of the Cyclones First Nation for the Yinka Dene Alliance.
First of all, I want to thank my relation, Rupert, for that welcome song. I want to thank the Burrard and the Coast Salish people for allowing us to do this business on your territory. Who'd have thought this alliance would have grown to such a big thing when we first got together in Village Lake? There was a few concerned people. And now we do have an unbreakable wall. When we have mayors and municipalities joining us in this struggle and standing with us in this struggle for the betterment of all the people of different colors that lives on our land. I want to thank all British Columbians and all Canadians that have stood with us, that have educated themselves, much like my community, and made a decision that no means no. I welcome your support, and I thank you for hearing my words. Merci.
Thank you, Jackie. At this point, I call Chief Terry Teasy, the Carriers County Tribal Council.
Thank you. First of all, I want to acknowledge the Coast Salish people and really thank you for the music that we sang this morning. And thank you, Jackie, and thank you to the communities that started this 30 years ago. I believe it was my chief, Talhtan Abraham, that's here, that brought the proclamation to the Enbridge Northern Gateway offices in downtown Vancouver. And really that was a continuation of our opposition to this mega project. And the Carriers County Tribal Council and many of our communities have opposed this project since the start. We got ourselves informed and we made our informed decision. I want to congratulate all the new signatories of Talhtan, the Metis Federation, for aligning themselves and saying no to this project. And quite frankly, I think it's political suicide if any government, federal, provincial, municipal, or First Nations, align themselves with Enbridge or any of these mega projects that just came emerging. And I thank you, I congratulate you, and this is one more nail in the coffin to these mega projects. Masai.
So with apologies, I call on Mayor Gregor Robinson.
Thank you, Gerald. It's a great honor to be here in Coast Salish territory this morning. Thanks to the Musqueam, Tsleil-Waututh, and Squamish First Nations. Thank you for the song to start us off. And thanks to all of our honored chiefs and dignitaries from across this province. It is a huge honor for you to be here in the city of Vancouver. We don't have this occasion very often. It shows how important this is to all of us and to all the people who are represented here. We have grave concerns about the impacts of massive fossil fuel expansion across this province, affecting our waterways, the most important of which is the Fraser River, which has given life to countless generations here in this place. It's the reason that the city of Vancouver is here. Continues to be hugely important to our present and to our future. And we can't put that at risk. We can't put our waterways, we can't put our land at risk. We're a short-term gain for some people. We have to think about all of the people from now forward, all the generations to come, the health of our land and our waters. We have to think of the communities that we built here, the great communities, this big city here that welcomes people from all over the world, that is so highly regarded by people around the world for being a great city, a city that thinks of the future, that's building for the future, and a city that's economy does not depend on fossil fuels whatsoever. In fact, quite the opposite. We have more jobs in technology now than we have in oil and gas, mining and forestry combined. Vancouver is a city that the new generation is seeing the future very differently. And we have very strong support as a council to stop the Kinder Morgan pipeline expansion, the supertanker expansion, turning Vancouver into an oil port. Our council has voted strongly against this. Our park board has voted against this. We want to protect our land, our waters here, Fraser River, Stanley Park. parking. These are very important issues for us. And it's such an honor to have this strength represented here, speaking clearly and strongly, boldly, taking a courageous stand for all the communities across this province from here and into the future against short-term fossil fuel exploitation. So it's my honor to commemorate this day in the City of Vancouver, reading a proclamation that recognizes this day for how important it is to Vancouver and to our future. And I'd say it's wonderful to be joined by so many leaders on this stage and to be representing people of this city and feeling very confident that the great majority of this city is opposed and will stand strong in making sure that these projects do not impact us, do not undermine our environment, our economy, and our future. So I'll read this proclamation for Save the Fraser Declaration Day. Whereas the future of the people of Vancouver and the future of the First Nations are bound together by our mutual reliance on the waters of the Fraser River, and whereas a tanker or pipeline mishap affecting Burrard Inlet, Vancouver Harbour, or the Fraser River would cause immediate and long-term harm to the marine environment and the Vancouver shoreline, threaten water and human health, and have enormous and direct impacts on major sectors of Vancouver's economy and the city's global reputation. And whereas over 100 First Nations have used their Indigenous laws to protect the Fraser River watershed and the coast by signing the Save the Fraser Declaration, refusing their consent for tar sands pipelines and tankers in their territories. The Yinka Dene Alliance have been leaders in this effort, joined by the Tsleil-Waututh, Squamish, and Musqueam nations here in the Vancouver area. And whereas the Union of BC Municipalities has endorsed resolutions in 2010 and 2012 opposing the expansion of oil tanker traffic on the coast. In May 2012, Council directed that the City of Vancouver will strenuously oppose any increase in oil tanker traffic due to the unacceptable risks to Vancouver's economy and environment. And whereas Vancouver has a rich Coast Salish heritage and is home to many members of many Indigenous nations from across Canada, and whereas all people in Vancouver and our First Nations neighbours, both here in the Lower Mainland and throughout British Columbia, will benefit from our shared efforts to celebrate and protect the waters and the environment of the Fraser River watershed and the coast. Now, therefore, I, Gregor Robinson, the Mayor of the City of Vancouver, do hereby proclaim Thursday, December 13, 2012, as Save the Fraser Declaration Day in the City of Vancouver. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Robertson. And at this point, I'd like to call my friend Mayor Taylor Backpack of Smithers.
Hello, everyone. It's wonderful to be with you today on Coast Salish territory amongst such a distinguished group of First Nations leaders. And I wanted to start by personally saying thank you on behalf of myself and my two daughters and our community for the strong stand that these leaders have taken on these critical issues. My name is Taylor Backrack, and I'm the Mayor of Smithers. And in the interest of full disclosure, and I know we're here to celebrate the Save the Fraser Declaration. Smithers is not located in the Fraser watershed, just for folks back home who might be confused about me moving their community. So we are located in the Skeena River watershed, which is one of British Columbia's two greatest wild salmon systems. One of the two main watersheds that the Enbridge Northern Gateway Pipeline will not be passing through. Nice. And Smithers is one of 8 local governments in northwest British Columbia that have passed resolutions in opposition to the Northern Gateway Pipeline. We are joined as a municipal government by the Village of Queen Charlotte, the Skeena Queen Charlotte Regional District, the City of Prince Rupert, the City of Terrace, the Kitimat-Stikine Regional District, and the District of Fort St. James, all of whom have passed official resolutions in opposition to the Enbridge project. And as many of you know, and as His Worship just mentioned, the Union of BC Municipalities has also opposed it on several occasions. It's worth noting that today not a single local or municipal government in British Columbia has endorsed the project, to my knowledge. It's a particular pleasure to be here today with my good friend John Ridsdale, Chief Namox from the Wet'suwet'en, and the town of Smithers lies within Wet'suwet'en traditional territory. And today, the Wet'suwet'en and the town of Smithers are working together on several important economic development initiatives. Our relationship is critical. Those two initiatives include the Bulkley Valley Economic Development Association and the Wet'suwet'en Community Forest, in which we are both partners. And these initiatives are delivering benefits to both of our communities. We are also united with the Wet'suwet'en in our opposition to the Northern Gateway Pipeline. Northwest BC and Smithers in particular depend on natural resource development. Our communities are no stranger to the forest industry, to the mineral exploration industry, and to the mining industry. People who live in the Northwest are also very attached to the landscape and the lifestyle that it affords. Our history as non-First Nations people does not extend as far back as that of the Wet'suwet'en, but the same landscape that sustained their culture for thousands of years continues to nourish our communities as well. We have important economic sectors that depend on healthy watersheds, and in our part of the world, more and more people are saying that the risks of this project are simply not worth it. The proponents of the Enbridge pipeline frame it as a choice between having oil pipelines cutting through our watersheds and our communities and economic impoverishment, and I believe very strongly that this is a false choice. Northwest BC is rich with natural resources. We have strong communities full of creative, innovative people who are committed to place. We're in a position to make smart choices based on long-term thinking, and the Enbridge Northern Gateway Pipeline is a choice that we're never going to make. Thank you very much.
I'm sorry, but I can't resist this, Taylor. If Enbridge could remove a few islands from a map, I'm sure people won't mind if you kind of link your community. So with that, I'd like to invite our National Chief of the Assembly of First Nations, Chief Sean Atteo.
I'm very honored and want to express thanking you for your welcome here in your territories. And I'm honored to, once again, be standing with these inspiring leaders who are standing up in the shadow of generations of others telling us what's good for us, in the shadow of legislation that goes back 100 years, that tries to instruct our people what the rest of the world thinks is right for Indigenous peoples. And growing up in a little village in the West Coast, I feel absolutely intimately connected to the stand that these leaders are taking. Having grown up in a village where my aunties would say, "Have you gone to see your grandmother today?" Going like this. So I don't mind saying, Chief Thomas and Abram, that you remind me of the strength of the aunties in my own village, the leadership that the two of you are providing some instructions that we will stand up together for the waters, for the environment. No longer is anyone out there allowed to tell us what is good for us. And so I want to express, along with all of the leaders here, that we will stand with you as you say no to what is being proposed in your territories. I'm thankful to see the mayors here. When I was at the Friendship Center after he was first elected, one of the first events that Mayor Robinson attended was an event at the Vancouver Aboriginal Friendship Center, a place that I even suggest supported me being alive today. There is a direct connection here to having mayors stand up and see you, and standing up with a strong coalition. You are saying yes to our rights, yes to our title, and yes to design a more sustainable future for all of our people and for future generations. Thank you for your leadership.
Moving right along, Regional Chief Zoe Wilson-Raybould of the Assembly First Nations.
Good morning. Gaelic-Husla, Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh for the welcome to the territory. My traditional name is Puglas, and I come from the Muskama Zawding, the Liquica people of northern Vancouver Island. We are a coastal community, and I'm proud to stand here as a council member of Wayukai Nation and acknowledge that we are a signature to the declaration. I'm honored to be here with the leaders, the hereditary chiefs, the chiefs, the worships, to stand together. I can't believe it's 3 years since the first signing of the declaration. I'm honored to stand here as the regional chief and on behalf of the 203 First Nations of British Columbia. 3 years, and we know that for 3 years, the passage of time has galvanized us. It has not galvanized us around pipeline messaging in terms of a path to prosperity. Absolutely not. This project, the pipeline, will not proceed. What it has done, and what is amazingly powerful, is that it has galvanized our First Nations around the recognition that we must be consulted. We must provide the free, prior, and informed consent to any major resource and industrial development projects that happen within our territories. Whether it be the Enbridge Northern Gateway Pipeline, whether it be the Site C Dam in northeastern British Columbia, whether it be the expansion of the Kinder Morgan Pipeline, or the so-called New Prosperity Mines. We as First Nations in this province and in this country stand together to protect our environment. But more importantly than that, perhaps, is that the passage of 3 years has galvanized us not only as First Nations in this province and across this country, but it's galvanized us as Vancouverites, as British Columbians, and as Canadians, and we stand together to, one, ensure that we have sustainable economic development in our territories and ensure that we protect the sacredness of our natural world. Gaelic-Husla.
I'd like to call now Grantee Gregor John, the First Nation son. Ed.
Hey, Mike, my name is Kaijo, Hereditary Chief, Talhtan Nation in the Carrier Second Territory. I'd like to acknowledge the tribes from this area, Burrard, Tsleil-Waututh, Musqueam, and Squamish, the Coast Salish peoples, and thank you for the song this morning, the words of welcome to the chiefs, the hereditary chiefs who are here, the elected leadership and chiefs, to your worships. How many of you know the word ko? How many of you know the word one over there? How many of you know the word Nekwatwa? How many of you know the word Stolo? Those are the three names of this river that we're talking about, our indigenous names, one in the lower Fraser area, one in the mid, and Dako up in the territory where I come from. That is the name of that river, that great waterway, named after another Scotsman, who was actually never made it to the coast. He was turned around by a Musqueam before he died. It was elders like Sophie Thomas from your village, Jackie, and many elders from all of our communities who said to us, take care of the land, and it will take care of you. Your grandmother, the responsibilities that we have, Mayor Robertson, as you explained, and your worship, Mayor, from Smithers and our chiefs, that these responsibilities for these waterways, whether it's the Skeena, or whether it's the Stikine, and the rivers up in the Talhtan territory, or the Taku River, or the Mackenzie watershed in the northern part of our territory where we come from. We do have three major watersheds, one being this one called the Fraser and the Chaco River. The Skeena and the Mackenzie, the Arctic watershed. We are at the headwaters of those three major watersheds. These development initiatives are routinely referred to as Northern Gateway or Gateway. For the oil projects in Alberta, because they have to sell their products to the south, to one market, there's a discount, they argue. But if they had access to another market, the Asian market, the value of that discount would diminish. According to Minister Oliver, what he said is the value of that discount is worth $20 billion a year. That doesn't go to the coastal communities. That doesn't go to the communities along the pipeline or the First Nations in the development area. It goes to the province on the other side of the Rockies. All of the risk is borne on this side of the Rocky Mountains, whether it's along the pipeline route or along the coastal communities. What's happening is that these projects, this gateway, is running squarely into Indian country. Aboriginal peoples, Aboriginal rights, and Aboriginal title. These will not be the doormat for the gateway. These rights, our people's Aboriginal title, will not be the doormat for this gateway. Thank you.
Now I'd like to call on Francis Deerfield, the Union of BC Indian Chief.
Wayhaskahel, Sinaxil, and Chayas Police, Asiu. I would like to begin also by acknowledging the ancestral lands of the Tsleil-Waututh, of the Musqueam, and the Squamish peoples. And I would like to also express on behalf of the Union of BC Indian Chiefs our deepest gratitude for the strong leadership from our aunties over here, Dr. Thomas and Chief Dolly Abraham, who have always stood tall on the difficult issues that confront our people and have always, without hesitation, stepped forward to take a leadership position. I would also like to acknowledge Tribal Chief Terry Tiji, who is following in the footsteps of some very powerful leaders. And as I stand here and appreciate the fact that we are continuing the good work of those leaders that have come before us, I can't help but think of the late Harry Pierre, who was the former chief of the Carrier 2nd Tribal Council, and certainly he was a defender of the land and our culture and everything that represents. I'm absolutely proud to stand here in solidarity with the BC First Nations Leadership Council to stand at the side of our newly elected regional chief, Jody Wilson-Raybould, who just was received one of the strongest mandates in the history of the province of British Columbia, who has also demonstrated strong leadership with respect to a whole variety of issues. An Chut is a dear friend of our family and has stood incredibly tall on all of the issues that confront our Indigenous peoples right across this country. And Grand Chief Ed John has represented our people so eloquently for so many decades now and is a strong voice at the international level. I want to acknowledge our dear friend Gerald Amos, who's behind me here, who was one of the strong voices at the outset of the issue with the Northern Gateway project. Art Starrett, who is not with us this morning, but is equally one of the strong leaders. And it's this Indigenous wall of solidarity that stands behind us that represents the voices of of our ancestors and the wisdom of our elders. And as a grandfather of 13 of the most beautiful grandchildren in the universe, I am so grateful for this leadership that I speak of. And I am also very, very moved and touched by Mayor Gregor Robinson, an incredible leader in his own right, who stood with the Musqueam people at Cessnock during that struggle to protect the sacred remains down at the Marble and Lindy site. And it's that type of leadership that the world demands in these challenging times, to step forward and to embrace the values that we have all taken for granted during the time that we've spent here on Mother Earth. And it's our duty and obligation collectively as Canadians, as British Columbians, to come together and join the Indigenous people and walk together into the future and ensure that those values and the beauty of the land that we're all so proud of here in British Columbia remains intact, that legacy for our grandchildren that will follow in our footsteps and their grandchildren. And that's what today represents for me. I will be leaving here to go up to the Okanagan to attend a Christmas concert of one of my 6 granddaughters. She's 5, Hannah, and I'm going to her Christmas concert. And I will sit there and watch her, remembering this moment here and what it represents, and carry that gratitude in my heart that people are finally beginning to wake up to know and understand that Mr. Harper's obsession with becoming a petropower is not in the best interest of Canadians, or certainly British Columbians, or certainly our coastal communities and the sacred waters that give life to all living things, like women.
Thank you all. I believe we've got gifts. Who is going to, exactly what he's going to give the Dolly?